Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and this is one that hits a little close to home for me. Uh, his swatting call led to the death of a man. Now he's going to prison for 20 years. I'm going to stop here for a moment because I've played video games pretty much my entire life, save for about the last 15 years while I was returning to college and seeking employment. But I've played online games many times. I currently have a Switch where I play Diablo and Smash Brothers, which are person PvP games where I'm playing against someone. But I typically don't use the chat. If I'm playing a cooperative game, I tend to want to be in the same room and I'll play over local with friends. But I have played online games, and this is unfortunately not a new thing. So let's take a look. CNN, a California man who made a hoax call that precipitated the fatal police shooting in Kansas, has been sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Tyler Raj Barris received the sentence after pleading guilty to making a false report, resulting in death, and dozens of other counts related to calls in which no one was hurt. Swatting is no prank, said Stephen McAllister, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas, sending police and emergency responders rushing to anyone's home based on utterly false information as some kind of joke shows an incredible disregard for the safety of other people. Prosecutors and defense attorney reached a plea deal, but each side recommended a different punishment. Prosecutors asked for 25 years, but the judge went with the defense request for 20 years. McAllister told reporters, "It is by far the longest prison sentence anyone in the country, by far the longest prison sentence in the country ever imposed for the practice of swatting. Swatting is the act of making a false police report, usually of an urgent or violent crime, to lure law enforcement or SWAT teams to a location." An attorney for Barris, Rich Federico, told CNN, "No comment." Of course he did. According to a police affidavit in December 2017, Wichita police were notified of a shooting and possible hostage situation at the address of Andrew Finch, 28. Dispatchers reported that the 911 caller said he shot his dad in the head and that he was not breathing. Furthermore, dispatchers told the police the caller said he was holding his mom and brother at gunpoint and he wants to kill himself and light the house on fire. Finch came out of the house when police arrived and was shot, according to the U.S. Attorney, when he dropped his hands as officers were telling him to raise his arms. He died at a hospital. Today's sentencing is only the first step in obtaining justice for the Finch family, said family attorney Andrew Stroff. The leadership of Wichita and the police department are also responsible for the tragic, unjustified, and unconstitutional death of Andy Finch. The family will continue to pursue justice and accountability with the federal lawsuit pending against the city of Wichita and the officers. Two co-defendants in the case have yet to be tried. Authorities said one of them enlisted Barris to swat the other co-defendant because of an argument that began while they were online playing a video game. Barris was given an address where the second co-defendant once lived but was then Finch's residence. He made 911 calls from Los Angeles by acquiring a local Wichita number through a cell phone app, authorities say. The guilty plea also covered bomb threats Barris made to the Federal Communications Commission headquarters in Washington. In my mind, this is murder. It is not swatting. It's murder. I was never a police officer on the street. I was a detention officer. I worked in the jail. So I never encountered what they do. But I can tell you that first responders, when they are told lives are on the line, they react. They don't have time to question, is this right? Is this wrong? Is he really holding the gun or is it different? If this was done from Los Angeles to Wichita, Kansas, there's a time difference there. What if it was dark? Police officers don't have the luxury of thinking, okay, it's dark. I need to make sure what's in his hand. He's dropping his hands. He's not raising them. Why not? There is no time to think. The officers in this case need to, one, receive some counseling. They shot an innocent man and he died. That's going to stick with them for the rest of their lives. But they also need to basically figure out how to respond in situations like this. If they were standing in the open, move around behind your car. There's innumerable variables to every situation, and I'm no expert by any means. So the officers do need to be counseled, and there needs to be discussion, and there may need to be action taken. That's up to Wichita. I'm not even going to say what should or should not happen. The family certainly has a right to pursue charges against them as long as federal law allows it. And a judge should make that decision, not me. But Barris should have gotten life in prison, or had he been in Texas, the death penalty, because he directly caused the murder of Andy Finch. And the accomplice who got him to do it, accessory to murder, life in prison. The issue at stake here to me is the attitude of, well, nothing, nobody's ever had anything happen. They just get a slap on the wrist. The police tell them, don't call us and do this. That needs to stop. That needs to change. We need to start prosecuting people for the crime they commit. If you directly do something that causes someone else to murder someone, you are guilty for that murder. If you do something that causes someone else to do something that completely and totally leads to murder, you are an accessory to murder. Barris should, in my mind, have been charged with the murder of Andy Finch, along with swatting and making a false report and any other charges that he's guilty of. His accomplice should have been charged with being an accomplice to murder. And as I've said with other topics, only when these idiots begin to see that there are consequences for their actions and consequences they will not like having happen to them, will we even have a chance of these idiots going, wait, there was somebody who went to jail for murder for life because they swatted someone. I don't want to go to jail for life, so I'm not going to swat them. It's logic to me. It's why I make sure I tell my nephew to be very, very careful when playing online games, to make sure he knows who he's playing these games with. Because God forbid someone come to my parents' house as police thinking there's a horrible crime going on and one of them is shot. I would be in that courtroom, and as a victim response statement, I would say this man's actions were predicated to send police in a heightened state of response to this home, which led to the death of whoever died. In my mind, they murdered my family member. I would not be saying they swatted and it got out of hand. I wouldn't be doing that because Barris knew he was sending police to a location that he had said there was a victim already dead. There was someone being held at gunpoint by a suicidal person who wanted to burn the house down. That's not something you respond to slowly. You go. You are in full fight mode only. There is no flight. Your job is to save people. And unfortunately, in this case, it went the other way. And unfortunately, again, Barris will probably be out in half the time or less. And he will probably not learn anything from his time in prison. In fact, being California, we may see him sue the city of Wichita for violating his rights because he's not a Kansan. Who knows? If he does, I really hope the state of Kansas smacks him down quick by saying, you did something stupid, and it resulted in the death of one of my citizens. So, you are responsible. But I've talked about this long enough. Let me know what you think in the comments. Keep them civil. I think I'm going to drop the classy bit. Just keep them civil. Be an adult. Because we don't learn from argument. We learn from debate. As always, make sure to like and share the video so we can expand the conversation. And please make sure that you subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you are one of the first to know of any new content as it is posted. We have the schedule of the 4s and 10s during the week, but weekends are up in the air. Could be a regular day, could be a lean day or a heavy day. It just depends. So being subscribed with those notifications on will, of course, make sure you're one of the first to know. Until next time, have a wonderful day.